And we are live, guys. Welcome to the Men of High Value channel, your channel for understanding life and success and attracting that into your life. My name is Joseph Darling, and today we're going to talk about Who Do You Work For Part 2. Yesterday became a review of what we've done so far from day 1 to 7. And day 8, today, I want to help you realize what you are doing. Basically, in order for you to change your life, you have to know where you are at, and you have to measure your current circumstances. And in terms of your time, the biggest chunk of your day, unless you're actually living on welfare or living on borrowed money, then you are working for someone. And that means that you are spending half of your waking time, probably, at a job. So, at a job, you are actually now working for someone else. If you're self-employed, you're still working for someone else, but you're actually doing someone, specifically a service, and they are paying you accordingly. Well, when you're working a job, you're also doing someone a service, and they are paying you accordingly. Which one do you think pays more? The people who have you and hire you to be self-employed for them? Or do you believe that you receive more when you have a job? It's kind of obvious. But the people that you pay most of your money for, the biggest chunk of your money, for your entire lifetime, probably, who do you pay the most? The government. This is in the category money that you create, but that you can't see and that you can never touch. Now, this category is something that we will discuss throughout this whole year, is helping you to become a libertarian and helping you to realize the awesomeness of libertarianism. Now, what is this? It's a very small minority of people in the world so far today who have understood that freedom is the best way. Basically, freedom in the sense that, yes, we should still have police force, yes, we should still have a judiciary system, and yes, we should definitely protect our borders with the military. But other than that, which is basically 5% of the government's expenses, other than that, everything else is a waste. Not in a waste of, yes, of course, it's great to have hospitals, yes, it's great to have schools, but there's just so many different ways that this can be done so much better in the private sector, rather than through the government system and paying government officials to figure out the best thing for us. So most of your money, when you're working, when you're creating something out of thin air, as by having a job or by being self-employed, most of that money will go to the government. Great. Okay, now second of all, the next thing that you pay the most to will be then your employer. They would not keep you as an employee unless you created a cash flow higher than what you get from them. Does that make sense? So you are an expense to them, but they're getting more in than what they're paying out to you or paying out to the government for having you. Does that make sense? So you then have to figure out, there are two categories. You have the rich people who do not want you to make more than what you're making right now. They want to keep you in your place and basically keep your salary up according to, hopefully, they measure up the inflation and then they give you a little bit more money every year. But that is a problem in itself. You work for someone who don't want you to increase your pay, well then you should probably quit. If you're a man and you do not have huge obligations like a family, then I would quit my job if I work in that current circumstance. If you work for the government, I would definitely quit my job. But if you work for anyone else but yourself, or someone who actually wants you to increase your pay on a regular basis, continually, until you're richer than they are, then you're probably not working for the right people. That's really the main message of this video, is to help you to understand that being self-employed will probably be the best bet for you, no matter who you are. I believe in you, and I believe in that you being self-employed will actually be a great thing. Will your income go down in the short term? Absolutely. Is that a fantastic thing? Yes, sir, it is. Because you will keep your income, or your expenses will go down together with your income, hopefully. Because you will not live on borrowed money. And then you will keep your expenses at that level, and then you'll increase your income slowly but surely as we go out throughout this year program. And as you increase your income, then your expenses will keep down and you'll have more and more for yourself. Alright, so the next category, trying to go quickly through this, is then the money that you see but you can't touch. These are basically your fixed costs. Okay, now I'm talking about your house loan and your car loan mostly, but then also your other expenses like electricity and internet connection, your phone, things that you need to have on a regular basis in order to live, basically, in a first world country. Or if you are in a third world country, you probably still need those expenses. But in terms of loans, a lot of your money is going to the banks. Most people work for the government, and then they work for the banks, and then they work for their employer, and they do this for the most of their lives. Okay, and they basically have 10% or 20% left for themselves. That is not a wise strategy if you want to get wealthy, if you want to get rich. You have to find a way to actually limit how much you pay to those. The government you can't do much about except with your vote, but other than that, you can make some huge changes. Do you have to have that huge house right now? If you are, if you have a family, it's a bit tricky, but we're gonna go through that. But if you don't have a family, you don't need to buy a house. You don't need to buy that, or to buy a car. You don't need it, because it will suck money out of you, because the money will go to people who are already rich who don't want you to get richer. Yes, the banks want you to get richer because then you buy more expensive things, but you get my point. Okay, so, and that was the second category, money you create, but you see, but you can't touch. But now the last one is money that you create, that you see, and that you can touch. This is a minority of the amount of money that you make if you work for someone else. Now, this should be your cash flow. This should be your investment money. Right now, you're probably spending it on food, you're probably spending it on clothes, you're probably spending on other things that you feel that you need. And that's fantastic. But really, the majority of that money should go to your future self, your investments. Okay, hopefully you take the money that you see should really 10% or 20% of it should automatically go to investments and not to your now self. Okay, because your future self is more valuable than your now self. Okay, so you want to pay that guy first, and then you pay your now self. And you will then increase your money that is working for you on a continual basis. And then you take one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. Over time, because of your habits of paying your future self first, then your wealth will increase. The biggest message for you right now from this video is, if you work for the government, I would, and you don't have huge obligations like a family, I would seriously recommend that you quit your job and that you find another job either in the private sector or working for other people who are rich, who want you to succeed. and who want you to increase your salary. Okay, so these are the good-hearted rich people. Do you know any of those? Then ask them if you can work for them. And try to limit your expenses. It is so critical, especially if you're between the ages of 12 to 30 and you're not married. Oh man, cut your expenses, man. Your expenses should not ever be more than 10,000 kroners per month. And as I've recommended before, you should not be entering full-time studying. You should work hard full-time at yourself, learning, growing, becoming, and increasing your salary, increasing what you make, and then paying yourself first and creating riches. It's really that simple. But you're stuck in the mindset that you need a full-time job. You're stuck in the mindset that that without money right now, you're going to die, and you're not. Just find a way to succeed. Wake up early, be disciplined, and let's get going, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow.